Welcome back to another episode of Plant-Based Dads. I'm Joey Troxel. I want to first start off by thanking our financial supporters, Patreon and PayPal, and for people who just leave by comments with money attached to it in the comments below the video. Without you guys, the show doesn't happen. You are helping us bring the plant-based message out to the public. If you ever thought about how can I be part of this, how can I help the show, how can I participate, that's how you can help. You can be a financial supporter. There's a link below this video on how you can become part of the PayPal or Patreon community, because the financial supporters get the videos 2 days ahead of time. So it's just, what I can offer. All right, we are in the middle of June now, the early middle of June. I have a lot going on this week. I'm doing a professional development class, which is a week-long class during summer vacation on cybersecurity, so I got that going on. And I really need some hearty, protein-rich food. So one of the things I'm working on today is high-protein, chickenless noodle soup. It's kind of like a chicken noodle soup. It's got the pasta and I'm using soy curls for the chicken, just like maybe your mom or grandma used to make when you were growing up, except it's vegan, and I've loaded it with soy curls just to make it high protein. So I just want to say that the original recipe for this is from Rose over at Cheap Lazy Vegan. She is fantastic. I absolutely love her. She's fabulous. We've made this for quite a while now because it's a really good recipe, but I really wanted to change it up a little bit to make it more higher protein to fit into what I'm doing. So I'm going to show you how I make this and what's involved. And then at the end, after that's over, we'll come back and I'll talk about the macros. Tim was supposed to be here, but he got paged again, so he's headed to work, so it's just me. All right, enough talking, let's get to the food. Our high-protein vegan chickenless noodle soup comes in at 357 calories per serving, 30 grams of protein, and 4 grams of fat. It's an amazing way to get a high-protein version of a traditional favorite. Let's get started. All right, to start out with, we're going to cut up half of a yellow onion. I've got my Strong Mini Santoku knife here. I absolutely love this thing. It's a state-of-the-art from the Gladiator series, and there's a link below where you can get your own Strong products. And I'm just gonna do a dice on this, and I really suck at cutting anything. I'm not a chef, I'm sorry. I'm just a fat guy that likes to eat. And I'm just gonna kind of do this here, and it's not pretty. I mean, you can give someone the best knives in the world, but I mean, if they don't know how to cut something, that ain't gonna help, right? But it makes it a lot easier. And then I'm just gonna go this way until I've got enough of these cut and ready to use. And that is 150 grams or about half a white or yellow onion. Next, we need about a tablespoon of minced garlic. So I'm just gonna open my clove here and grab the garlic out. I don't understand a tablespoon of minced garlic. Those people just don't love themselves. And I'm just gonna run my garlic through the press right here. I'm gonna try and get it all in there and squeeze away. Oh, that's like spraying everywhere. All right. All right, so there I've got about a tablespoon of garlic. Next, we're gonna need about 100 grams of carrots. So I've got some carrots here. I've peeled these and I'm just gonna chop the ends off. And I'm just gonna chop these up into little slices or pieces or whatever I can get out of them, just so they're bite-sized for soup. I don't wanna have them too thin because then they'll just fall apart in the soup. So I wanna have them a little chunky and they'll get soft enough to eat in the soup. All right, so about 100 grams of carrots right there, or 2 medium carrots. All right, next I got about 250 grams of potato. This is just a russet potato that I've peeled, and after the peeling it's 250 grams, so it's one large potato. I'm just gonna cut it into, soup-sized chunks. So, I don't know, like little 1-inch chunks or something. All right, there we go. Maybe a little less than that. So they're bite size. So I'm just kind of going once along the long way and then just making some little chunks here. There we go, I think that looks pretty good. I'll do the same thing over here. And if they're too big, you can definitely cut them in half. I think some of these might be too big. Yeah. Depending on the size of your potato. And I still got the other half here. This half is much smaller, so it's a little easier. All right, there we go. All right, so that is 250 grams of potato, or about one large russet potato. And then I need about 100 grams of celery, or about 2 large sticks of celery here. So I'm just gonna make bite-sized pieces out of this and just kind of cut them. Again, you want them to have some, some size to them so they don't fall apart in the soup. But you're not counting calories, and put as much as you want in, because celery is mostly water, so it's very, very low in calories. But if you are like counting every macro, every calorie, then it's about 100 grams that we're putting in. All right, so 100 grams or 2 sticks of celery. Okay, for the soy curls, we're just using these Soy Jock chicken wing shaped little soy curls. It's the only organic ones we could find online at the time, so we grabbed them. And you can see they're soy curls, but they're supposed to be supposedly in the shape of chicken wings. I don't know what that means, but they'll do the job. And we've got 300 grams of these, and we're just gonna reconstitute these with some water. I'm just gonna pour some water in here and fill this up until it is all filled. And then I'll just let that water do its thing for about 10 minutes, and we should have some nice big soy curls. All right, next we're gonna need a sauce pot. I'm using the Dull Strong 3-quart 5-ply copper core Avalon series. This is an absolutely beautiful pot, and it is very strong and just the right pot to do the job. This is heavy duty. I'm gonna add a little bit of water here so I can water saute the vegetables and turn on the heat. And I'm gonna set that to medium heat and get that start steaming a little bit, and then I'll throw in the veggies. All right, I've got this thing on medium heat, and I'm gonna put in the onions and the garlic here just to get these vegetables sweating. I'm gonna start with those. I'm gonna get those cooking and sweating for a little bit here. I'm just gonna move them around the pan and get them going. I'm not using oil, I'm just using water, so I gotta keep moving it around and making sure everything stays wet. Can't let it dry up. If I need to add more water, then that's what I'll do. You can use some spray oil at home. We're not oil free anymore, but oil does add a lot of calories, and I just don't want them. And you can see I'm just adding a little more water to this, just keep it moving around so it doesn't burn. There is a finesse you get to using water to saute that you eventually get the hang of. All right, now that the onions are starting to soften up, I'm gonna add the rest of the chopped veggies here, the celery and the carrots, but not the potatoes. So I'm just gonna hold off on those. In the meantime, I'm gonna get my mirepoix going here. And the mirepoix is a fancy name for the soup base, which is onions, carrots, and celery. Because, there's a fancy show. All right, my mirepoix is looking good here. That's perfect. I'm gonna add my water. I've got 6 cups of water here that I'm adding. There we go. And then I'm gonna set this to high and bring it up to a boil. While we're waiting for that to boil, let's throw in our spices. We're gonna add 1/4 cup of nooch, or nutritional yeast. Then we've got 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. We're also gonna throw in a 1/2 tablespoon of ground black pepper. And I'm gonna throw in 1 veggie stock cube. I'm using these Rapunzel vegetable bouillon, no salt added. They're just little cubes, and I'm gonna break it up here and pop it in so it kind of mixes a lot quicker and evenly, so we don't just have one glob of bouillon in one spot. It should really dissolve anyway, but it's been my experience that they don't always dissolve. So I'm just kind of mixing this up into little pieces here. All right, I'm just gonna mix this together. Now the goal here again is to bring this to a boil, which we're still working on. So let's just kind of mix this up and get it ready to be all incorporated once it starts boiling. And it's looking pretty good right there. A lot of it's gotten on the side here, so I just wanna use my liquid here to get it down, which isn't happening. Let's just do the best we can with it right there. And you can see the soup is starting to boil. Now it's time to add the rest of the ingredients. I'm gonna add the potatoes, which I had soaking in water just to stop them from turning brown. I'm also adding 100 grams of high protein pasta. I'm using Pastabilities. It's 24 grams of protein per serving, but you can use whatever you have. And then I'm gonna add the soy curls that we were soaking in water. I've got most of the water out, but I'm still gonna use a spider here to get them in here. And I just want to look how big they are. I mean, they are going to take up this whole soup pot. So soy curls, I just love the way they come all small and dehydrated, and they just become a huge, like, meaty looking option in your soups. It is fantastic. Look at all that. All right, so I'm gonna mix all that together here. Get that all combined. We may actually need more water here. There's a lot here. All right, we'll just give that a good mix here, and we're gonna let that cook for about 20 minutes until the pasta and the potatoes are nice and soft. So 20 minutes, let it cook. All right, 20 minutes is up, and you can tell if it's done because the potatoes should be fork tender, which they are right here, right? And the pasta should be fork tender too, right? Get that out of there. And it is. So this is done and ready to serve up. Let's plate it up. All right, now the whole soup makes 4 servings, and that's a lot of soup in each serving. But that's what you have to get the macros that we put on the screen. If you're not worried about macros, then you can just break it up into as many servings as you want. And then you can just take a little salt and pepper to sprinkle on top, just kind of for a garnish. There you go, right there. And there you have it, a beautiful bowl of vegan, chickenless noodle soup. All right, let's grab a spoon here and give it a little taste. Whew, holy smokes, a lot going on here. I want to get a little bit of everything. I'm gonna need a bigger spoon than this, but I'm gonna get a little bit of everything on here. I want a carrot on there too. All right, here we go. Oh man, Holy smoke, this is good. Oh yeah, so good, holy smoke. It's just like, you know, like the chicken soup like your grandma or your mom used to make. Wow, so delicious, guys. Absolutely delicious. Wow. All right, let's talk about the macros and how they work. All right, so here's the way the macros work out on this. So the whole pot makes 4 high protein servings. And the way I figured that out is I weighed the whole thing after it was all done. The entire pot of food came out to 3,586 grams. So if you divide that by 4, you get 896.5 grams. So I've got 4 servings of 896.5 grams. And if you do that, then each serving comes out to 357 calories, 30 grams of protein, 4.2 grams of fat, and if you're tracking carbohydrates, about 57 carbohydrates. So you don't have to do that. You could break the whole thing into 8 servings if you're not worried about, you know, the macros, the calories and all that. You would just be a lot less calories and a lot less protein. It really depends on what your goal is. My goal is to get enough protein in this to make it worth eating. The original recipe from Rose over at Cheap Lazy Vegan, hers is only 100 grams of soy curls, but doing that doesn't really give me enough protein to make it a high protein meal. So I've increased it to 300 grams of soy curls. If you want to just make it the way it's supposed to be without the extra protein, you can have just a regular version of this and use 100 grams of soy curls instead of the 300, and you're all set to go. The rest of the recipe is still the same. So, you know, however you want to do this, there's a lot of flexibility, but, you know, you get 30 grams of protein for, you know, 357 calories. That's a great deal for soup, and my gosh, it's absolutely delicious. So I'm probably gonna take this all week to lunch with me for the conference I'm at. All right, that's our video for today. Please hit that like button, show us some love, click on the subscribe button, click on that bell, and you'll get notified every time we have a new video, usually every Tuesday. And leave a comment below. Are you doing this with me? Are you doing the high protein thing? Let me know your thoughts. Are you on summer vacation? Are you a teacher? Are you a student? Man, I'm enjoying it. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.